So I've got good news and bad news for you. People loved it. Like people freaked out. I had a standing ovation at the end of it. I think that's the magic. Like that is the magic of Evan Carmichael, is being afraid and then still doing it.
Oh my God, you're coaching me now?
Tess, this is all garbage. Nina, let me ask you a really important question from Dr. Tess.
I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh, I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh.
Hilarious. Ho!
Hello.
Hello.
What's so hilarious, Mr. Puerto Rico?
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, I could probably show you just before like the...
Oh, shut up.
Can you see? Can you see that?
Yeah,
okay.
Sucks. That's ugly.
Yeah. Ugly? It's amazing. It's dark. It's just
beautiful.
Sun is setting.
So what time? Oh, sun is setting. So what time is it in Puerto Rico?
6:30
p.m. Right. Okay.
It's an hour ahead of Toronto. So Toronto's 5:30. Here it's 6:30.
Cool. Okay. Nice. How's it going?
Good. I was just ripping with Nina because we're gonna go for dinner after this, and I asked her,
Hi, Nina.
She can't hear you. Tess says hi. She says hi. And I was saying, do you want to go look up a place for us to go eat, or do you want me to finish with Tess and then I'll look up a place? And she said, you go look up a place when you're done with Tess. Because I hate looking up restaurants. But last year in our tour, she did all of the restaurant research and everywhere we were going for 3 months. Anyway, so after this, I got to look up restaurants in Puerto Rico.
Do you know, my secret tip is to not overthink it. But my secret tip with restaurants is, what do I feel like having in my tummy? Like, what kind of food do I feel like having? And then I search for that food close to me.
Oh, you see, Nina never knows. She never knows what she wants in her tummy. Let me ask. Nina, let me ask you a really important question from Dr. Tess. Okay. I gotta say it's from Dr. Tess, otherwise I get in trouble. What food do you really feel needs to be in your tummy? She's laughing. Uh-huh. And I don't know exactly. Okay, thank you.
I love it.
That's my life.
Now listen, have we seriously not spoken since the whole border gate?
I don't think so. Yeah, because we were planning on leaving.
I know we messaged. Yeah, I know we messaged, but we've not spoken. I'm just over it. I'm just starting to get over it. I don't know about you.
You're just starting to get over the fact that I wasn't let into the US?
I'm just starting to recover. To recover.
Wow, I recovered the day of.
Yeah, no, but that's because you're you and I'm me. I was really angry for you and I wanted to say all the things, but I thought, if I want to get back into the States, I probably can't say all the things. So
Right. Yeah, publicly. Great. Yeah, we just had, border security. It's in every country. Border security has insane powers, and you just get the wrong guy on the wrong day, and it happens. But that's okay. I wouldn't be here. What I'm doing right now in Puerto Rico wouldn't be happening if I went on my tour.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah. So I'm here speaking. So I've got good news and bad news for you.
What?
Yeah. The bad news is I didn't do the exercise with the fairies or whatever. I know it's still on my list.
The muses.
The muses.
Fairies. I was thinking, I didn't set you any fairy homework.
So that's still on my to-do list. But the good news is,
okay.
So I'm here in Puerto Rico. I was thinking of you. I was like, yes, Tess would be so proud. I'm here in Puerto Rico. Brendan Burchard invited me to his mastermind event. You know Brendan Burchard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Him and Dean Graziosi.
He and I go way back. We go way back.
Oh, awesome. You know Dean too?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know Dean?
Old mate.
Okay.
Old mate. Yeah, we used to have barbecues together when I was a kid.
Dean?
I'm joking. Evan, I'm joking. Okay. I know who they are.
Okay, great. Okay. So they have a mastermind where you pay 30 to 50K to join the mastermind. Mm-hmm. And you get 2 events, live events that you come to for that, right? So this is one of them, and I was the only external kind of non-team speaker.
Nice.
Yeah, which is great. And so I did. This is the evolution of the Dr. Tess Crap Challenge. This is why I was channeling you, because Dr. Tess challenged me, I don't know, a year ago, 6 months ago. I don't remember when it was.
So long ago.
I needed to share. It was when you were in New York, right? Because we did it.
Yeah.
Face to face.
That was in May last year.
In May.
Yeah, May.
So that was kind of right between 6 and 12 months ago. To share more of the negative, of the insecurities, the like non-perfect side.
Yeah.
Because the thesis at the time was I was afraid of letting people see that I'm not perfect. Anyway, that had its run. It didn't last for an insanely long period of time, but we did it. It was a good.
You did.
We gave it a good run. It was a good run.
You gave it a shot.
One off and done. So here's the thing. So I spoke at Brendan's event, Growth, in October. There's about 2,000 people there. About a third of the people who are from there are also in this mastermind. They pay a lot to be here, but there's 200 people here. So much smaller group. I'm getting stopped in the hallway by people saying, "Hey, I saw you in Growth. So excited to see you here. I can't wait to hear your speech." I said, "Awesome. Did you start your channel yet?" And they said, "No, we haven't done it yet." And so, and that was like the consistent message. Like, well, but you heard my speech in October. You loved it. It's now January. Like, why haven't you done anything? And I realized it was just fear and insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Meanwhile, I had the panic attack of my life backstage, right? We talked about that in October, right? Right. Like, biggest panic attack for a long time, freaking out. I was going to forget my lines. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to lead with that story. So I led on stage, and I came up and I said, I want to share something I've never shared on stage before. This is legit. It's not just some marketing thing. I've never told anybody. I'm introverted. I get scared of coming on stage. I still get scared when I'm making videos. And I told them the story about October when I was backstage and I had a panic attack. And then even on the day of my speech, just before I came up, Brendan Burchard's doing the intro for me, and he's telling me how I changed his life and like gave him all these tips on YouTube, and I'm a genius. And in my head, I'm thinking, can you just not say all this stuff, because you're setting me up for like even greater expectations, which I don't want, right? So I shared all that, and then I said, well, why put myself through the stress and anxiety and all this stuff? It's like, because my purpose demands me to, right? I have to, because I'm trying to have a message. If I play small and safe and just don't do the things that give me anxiety, then I don't win.
Yeah.
And so people loved it. Like, people freaked out. I had a standing ovation at the end of it. I updated my Instagram bio and all that to say like introvert, entrepreneur. What does my bio say? Introvert, entrepreneur is great. Listen, I'm going to read it out. This is I think what you actually meant for the Dr. Tess Crap Challenge. I think this is like the real version of it. Not the deal with it. I just interpreted it wrong. Anyway, introvert entrepreneur, trying to solve the world's biggest problem. My number one fear is disappointing you. Networking events gives me anxiety. Believe.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So I ended the presentation saying, I love talking to people. It's my favorite thing to do. Like, I'm here to serve. Over the next 2 days, please come and ask me your questions. I will never come up and talk to you. But I love being talked to, right? Because I'm and so people laughed and saying, so there's definitely like this angle, and I've been sharing more on IG Lives and videos. There's definitely this angle that I need to lean in on more, because it's resonating and it feels right. I'm not afraid to share it or how I'm seen. I just haven't kind of tapped into it before. So anyway, I was thinking about you.
Well, thank you. I think that's something that more of us feel than are willing to speak about it. So I know that if I'm in a room, I'm very much like you. If I'm in a room with people, unless it's my event, I'm not going to be approaching people. I'm looking for the people I know so that I feel safe. And and I'm nowhere near as extroverted as I look on camera.
Right.
And I'm very aware that talking to somebody or talking to an audience via a camera is safe. Like so many people are scared to do it, but for me, it's safe. You know, it's the camera it's no different to when I was acting, and being on a stage was safe, which a lot of people are terrified of. But for me, it was a safe place. And I knew what I was doing, and I knew what I was talking, and I was in control of that to a point. Whereas in a room full of people, it's too random. I don't want to approach people and not have anything interesting to say, or them not be interested to talk to me, and all of that sort of stuff. So, I really get it, and I get the vulnerability that a lot of people who speak publicly have. I think a lot more of us than are willing to admit actually share that similar vulnerability. Yeah. I wish I'd been there. I would have loved to have.
Listen, we have a
heard
video
it,
of it.
and I would.
There's a video.
Nice.
So I've joked before that I don't talk to the person next to me on the airplane. And that's how I let it off. And there was and I had a super awkward situation on the airplane where like this guy was trying to small talk the whole way down. It's 5 hours from we're in New Jersey. I stopped over in New Jersey to San Juan. So 5 hours, and he's trying to small talk, and it's like, and I'm not trying to be rude. It's just, man, I got nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
So this guy the whole time, and I'm feeling terrible. And so I said it on stage, I don't like to talk to the person next to me in the airplane. But that guy who sat next to me was in the room.
No way.
Yeah, Justin.
No way. Did he come up to you?
I saw him the day of. Like, he's like, oh, hey, man. It's like, oh, dude, you're here? Right? And I told everybody, I said on stage, like, I remember everything about this guy. The guy woke up at 4 a.m. to leave at 6, to hop this flight to get in at 2, and he takes his coffee, decaf with 1 cream and 1 sugar, and he has a black Toomey bag with leather on, right? Like, all this stuff. But I don't like to talk to people on the airplane. I don't talk to random people. Yeah. So it was funny to tell that story, like, while he's there in the room. That's never happened before.
That's amazing.
So I'm trying to lean into that stuff more as opposed to just showing the perfect side. And walking through it as I'm doing it. So tomorrow, this is what never would have come if the tour was on. So it's a huge blessing. Brendan invited me to his house tomorrow. He's doing a 3-day meetup with his buddies. So him and Dean and a bunch of people who I'm not allowed to talk about unless they want to be talked about, are going to meet for 3 days at his place and just kick it around, just what they're going to do for their business, right? And I know a good chunk of the people on that list. And it gives me anxiety that, holy cow, like, who am I to be in this group? So I'm just trying to share.
You know who you are.
I know I can bring value and help, but it's not a logical thing. It's an emotional thing.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Right? Like, I know I'm going to go and give tons of value to people, but it's still, I know I'm going to walk in and have my heart like coming out of my chest, freaking out that, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Right?
Yeah. For the first half hour, and then you'll settle in and you'll be fine.
Sure. Yeah. Just like when you get on stage, it's the first 5 minutes. Yeah. It's the whole lead up. Once you start talking, it's fine. But it doesn't help that like tomorrow is still tomorrow, and I still have to live today before I get to tomorrow. So trying to figure out how to share those things more often. It's super comfortable leaning into it. Like, sharing that stuff is super easy, and it gives people permission. Yeah. So I think we found it. Like, I think that's the angle. Leaning in on the introvertness and the anxiety and the fear of disappointing people. I'm just trying to take people on the journey as I'm doing it.
That's so good. That's so good. I really love it. I really, really love it. I think I talk a lot about how people underestimate the interest that could be generated in knowledge that we take for granted. So think of mental health professionals, and there's a lot of, really, to us, really basic information about anxiety and depression and all of that stuff and how it all works. and we get into a bit of a lull where we assume everybody knows that stuff, and so we can fall off the bandwagon of doing education around that information with either with clients or the community or whoever. And every now and then, so I'm coaching people every now and then, just remember, tap into the stuff you take for granted, the knowledge that you have that you take for granted. But I also think that we minimize how validating and interesting it is for other people to hear about our vulnerabilities. And I'm not saying, we all air our dirty laundry all the time, but to see the other side, like, it's so important for when I will often say to people, just think of the one person who's been helped today by hearing that you get nervous. It only takes one person to hear that Evan Carmichael gets nervous before going on stage to feel validated and normalized. And, oh, well, if he feels nervous and does it anyway, then maybe I can too. That is actually really powerful stuff. So, you get a gold star.
So now I got to figure out, how do I transition that into future speeches? It came up organically because a good chunk of that audience had already seen me.
Yeah, right.
And the only reason why they didn't post a video is because they're scared. And so I thought, I'm going to lead with telling them how I'm always scared. And that's not a good enough reason. I love it. Like,
it's not a good enough reason.
So now with a cold audience, I need to figure out I just got to figure out how to tie in. It's doable.
Yeah, but they're not really a cold audience. They're there because they're interested in the topic, or they've seen you on YouTube, or they're there because they're interested in someone who's speaking alongside you. So there's a commonality, and the commonality underpinning all of that is that they all have the same fears.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that I'm learning. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, what profession you're in, what business type you've got, what you do with your downtime. We've all got the same fears.
Mm-hmm.
We all fear being judged. And so we all, second guess ourselves with regards to putting ourselves out there in front of people. And when you do it anyway and you realize the sky doesn't fall in, well, then you feel a bit braver to do it again. And then you feel a bit braver to do it again. But it doesn't mean you ever really stop being scared of those things. You just get stronger at doing it anyway.
Yeah, I'll just need to figure out what is the fear that they're doing, they're going through, and lead with it.
Judgment and criticism.
Sure, yeah, of course, and that's with everything. Just to for the audience, to what's the message? So if it's posting on YouTube, so for example, I'm doing Social Media Marketing Week. Social Media Marketing World, is in March. San Diego, a couple thousand high-level marketers. I'm presenting deep tactics. I'm talking about YouTube thumbnails.
Yeah.
Not about why you should be on YouTube and general marketing stuff, but here's how I'm winning on YouTube. Here are 10 strategies that I want you to steal from me to start winning harder on YouTube. So that's the hardest one, because there's no mindset stuff baked into the presentation. If it's about belief or taking action or something, that becomes super easy. I got to figure out what's the gap that I can lead with, so I can come up on stage and say, hey, I'm really nervous to be here. Which will be true, but how do I tie it into the content, which is going to be about thumbnail optimization strategies?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer yet.
You'll come up with something.
But I think that's the path. Like, leading with that becomes the path. Yeah. It's the being afraid, and then I think that's the magic. Like, that is the magic of Evan Carmichael, is being afraid and then still doing it.
Yeah, exactly right. The very first conversation I had with Steve, our mutual agent, for those who don't know, he said to me, what is your message? What is your core message? And I said, my whole thing is about acknowledging that people are scared, but that they should do the thing anyway. And he said, I think he said something typically Steve, like, yeah, that's everyone's message. It's like, okay. But it does underpin everything, that plus feeling isolated. And so that's why I say, you sharing your vulnerabilities helps one more person not feel isolated in their journey of entrepreneurship or whatever it is that they're doing. You know, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person in the world who's an introvert but wants to be visible. You know, because those two things don't typically go together. We don't assume they go together.
Yeah, there's definitely something. The isolation part is not something that I connect. I don't feel lonely. Like I like being by myself. I don't feel lonely.
Yeah. But I think in terms of being alone in your experience, so being the only one amongst your peers who's an entrepreneur, or being the only one amongst your peers who's a business owner, and not having anybody else to bounce off, and feeling that when you have the ups and downs of business ownership, it's because you suck at business, when in actual fact, that's just normal. That's just what happens in business. That kind of isolation. Yeah, I love my own company. I'm quite happy in a room by myself. That's a different
I don't feel that stuff. I don't feel that stuff.
That's the introvert. No, that's because you're winning.
Yeah. But what's that? Because
you're winning. You're winning.
No, but when I lose all the time too. I'm losing all the time.
Yeah, I know. But you've reached that place. Like, you've reached that place, and that's that place where we can embrace the suck and go, yeah, this sucks. I'm going to give myself a day, half a day, to go, yeah, this really sucks. And then I know with absolute certainty that something awesome is going to come out of this, because I'll have learned something.
Yeah,
you're in
but
that place.
That's not relatable. Like, that's Mark.
Most people aren't there. Most people aren't there yet.
Yeah. That's when Mark Drager calls me a robot. Like, that's not relatable. Like the tour that you're just getting over the tour. I was done like already, like the day of. Like, okay, let's go. We're moving on.
Yeah, okay. I'm not quite as enlightened as you then.
Well, no, that's not about like levels of enlightenment. It's just more.
I know.
That's not normal and that's not relatable. But the anxiety and the fear is.
That is relatable.
It's the most relatable thing that I am, I think. In terms of like the weakness or the chink in the armor or the insecurities. Yeah, absolutely. I think this is, that whole isolation thing, that whole resilience, that bounce back, that whole not letting stuff touch you as deeply as it might touch other people. Elements of that aren't relatable, but when you scratch the surface, there are absolutely teachable and relatable elements to all of that. I think when business owners really do embrace that they're on a roller coaster, they're not on a carousel that just sedately goes round and round in circles. They're on a roller coaster that goes up and down. And the more you experience of the ups and the downs, the more you realize, as long as you've got your big picture and you can see that strategically this isn't going to throw you off course, people will sort of ride the roller coaster a bit more easily. And that's where you're at. You ride that roller coaster in a way that most people haven't got to yet. I think that's that bounce back or resiliency or like not letting things hit you. That's what people want. Like if I think about my entrepreneur friends or even like Mark, our mutual friend, that's what he wants. That's why he loves hanging out with me. That's what he wants to continue to like to seep and become more of, and he is becoming more of it. But as it's not the entry point. Like that's what keeps people.
Yeah.
The entry point is this guy is just as scared as I am and he's doing it.
Yeah.
He's normal.
Yeah.
But
that's mass relatable. Everybody can relate to that. Yeah. I get it. Totally. Awesome.
Anyway, so that was exciting. What's next? Next is tomorrow. I gotta go to freaking his resort and hang out with. This is something I would never do. Like the fact that you'd go and just hang out for 3 days is bonkers, ridiculous. I have a phone. I had to get a phone with a phone number. I haven't had a phone number in like 12 years. The only way Brendan communicates is iPhone messaging.
So you have to have an iPhone. You can't have any phone. It's got to be an iPhone.
Right. So this is my phone.
I wondered about that. I saw that you bought an iPhone. How are you enjoying the iPhone?
Oh, I don't care. Actually, the best part of it is
stabilization. You sold me on the 11.
Yeah,
stabilization.
Within Instagram, though.
Within Instagram.
This phone, this is the normal, like, it's got the 2 cameras, whatever. Like, this is a good phone. Has stabilization in it, but not the Instagram app. This phone has stabilization inside the app. So when you're doing a live or you're doing a story, I used to have to go to my camera, film it, and then put it to Instagram. This one recognizes the stabilization inside. Yeah, it's insane.
Nice.
But anyway, like this is the crazy Evan. So I'm stressing out before going on stage, right?
Yep,
Brendan's talking me backstage. I'm about like 45 minutes before I have to go on. It's like the worst. It's the worst time for me. 45 minutes before stage time. I'm freaking out, having mild panic attacks. Brendan's backstage sitting to me and said, "Hey, you know what? I want to invite you to my home in the next week. Stay an extra week. Come over and hang with us. We're gonna do this thing together." Okay. I'm already freaking out about my speech.
Yeah.
Now I've got to. I don't know how I'm gonna plan. I'm messaging Nina, like, Nina, we need to. I don't know if I extend my trip, if I come home and come back. And so she helped take care of things where, like, she would now fly down. So she's here. She wasn't supposed to be here. She flew down here. Right. I said, and she left the next day. I said, you need to go buy me an iPhone. So she bought me an iPhone and brought it with her just so that I can talk to Brendan and his compadres. But yes, of course it's a yes. I don't even know what I have planned. I need an iPhone. Great. I need a phone number. I've made all these videos about how I don't have a phone number. Now I do. I don't know what it is, but Brendan has it. You know, Brendan wants to talk about how do you plan for a decade? Like the main theme of this whole thing is how do you plan for the next decade?
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many videos I've made about how I hate 10-year goals. Yeah. So I'm going to have to stand up and say, I don't plan for the decade. I don't make 10-year goals. I have a mission and then like what I'm doing right now. And that's it.
Yeah.
Which also gives me anxiety because he's like, all of these guys teach goal setting and teach purpose and teach all the same stuff that I teach in their own ways. And I'm, my fear is I walk into their home and basically say, you suck.
You
I'm
suck.
not gonna say that. but like, why am I coming? What I'm here. He wants to talk about planning for a decade. He's like, I don't plan for a decade. So that gives me more anxiety. I realize I have a lot of anxiety about things, which is great.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear how that looks, the whole plan for a decade thing, how that actually looks like in the conversation that you end up having with these people over the next few days. What do they mean when they're saying plan for a decade? Because I'm often talking about big picture thinking and knowing that you're staying strategic to that big picture. So you've got your mission and you're just doing what you're doing today, but it's strategic to your big picture vision.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's actually more similar than you think.
I'm sure it is. For sure. Yeah. It's a lot of times it's just in the language used, but even as they're talking, like, so the event was in January, right?
Yeah.
It was the first event for him. It's a lot of like, it's the new year. It's also the first of the decade. Like we were all here together at the start of the decade. It's like, I don't think like that at all.
Yeah.
Like today is the first of the decade. Great, go. Right? It's like people ask me, how is it like turning 40? I'm turning 40 in May. I don't care. I'm already 40. I'm 60. Who cares? Like, what difference does it make? Why does it, when you turn 50, that now something has to change?
Yeah.
It really bothers me.
Well, that's it. That's exactly right. No, that's exactly right. No, I'm with you on that one. I think, I don't know. It's like people need milestones along the road, something to know they're on the right track, or to know that they've achieved it, or that they're heading in the right direction. You don't need those things. You already know. So you already know that you're heading in the right direction, and you already know that you've achieved the things that you're wanting to achieve, and you know
I'm
how to get.
super comfortable in that thought process. It definitely works for me. I'm pulling more people into it. I think it's right. The anxiety is like, they don't believe it and they need help with what they're doing. And I got nothing. I'm like, not even coming with zero. I'm coming in with the opposite. It's like, kind of don't believe in this. It's like you show up to a religious thing and you're like the only one who's a non-believer. Like, okay, it won't be that bad. I'm
That won't be that bad at all. It'd be awesome, and it's going to be amazing. And I think your first order of business will be being a good listener.
Yeah. I do that. And logically, it all makes sense. I'm going to listen. I'm going to find the little hole. I'm going to, but again, that's logic talking, not.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
it's not
boom, boom,
that.
oh my God, this is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Are you flip-flopping between excitement and anxiety, or is it just anxiety?
No, I hate that. No, it's just anxiety.
You hate that.
Yeah. Sorry. I hate if it's real.
I know what you hate. I know what you
okay.
hate. You hate trying to tell yourself it's excitement when
Yes.
it's actually anxiety. I know that. Yeah, excitement.
Yeah. So, but no, that's true. I am excited. That's I guess that's a fair enough point. Like, I'm excited, and I'm also, it's both at the same time. And there's no way I'm not going, right? Like, of course I'm going. There's no world that I'm not going. That's ridiculous. Like, I have a fever, I'll still show up and go. But it doesn't mean that I still don't feel the anxiety in the lead up and the build up.
And so your anxiety is around feeling like you won't have anything valuable to contribute.
Disappointing people is always a thing. I'm worried I'm going to disappoint people, that Brendan invited me in and I'm not going to give him anything. And his guests are going to say, who is this guy? Why was he invited? Right? That's always like, not to that extreme, but that's the fear that I'm going to be here and not have anything to contribute. Even though people are already hitting up who are coming saying like, hey, while we're there, can you help me with boom, boom, boom? Right? Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing, are you going to do any stories about it? Are we going to be able to follow you?
So Brendan was very clear that, one, this is not an event that he's putting on. This is like, he has no staff. This is him.
The private thing. Yeah.
It's his friends. And so, one, he doesn't want anybody tagging where we are because this is home. So he doesn't want people to show up on at his home and right. Which I mean,
fair enough. Yeah.
And then two, some people are there. He has dedicated content rooms that you can use if you want. And if you want to create content, we've got rooms for you. But be respectful of, if people are here for this is their own growth that they're here to come for. If anybody asks me to make content, I'm down. Let's make content right now. I'm happy to do. But maybe not everybody thinks that way. So it's like, just make sure that that you're not just like, hey, look who's here, and they're here, right? And filming is like, oh, I didn't actually want to be on video while I'm here, right? So
yeah.
I'm just gonna promise. I told everybody, like, I'm making no content just as a default, and then if I end up doing anything, I'm sure stuff will happen. I'm sure stuff will happen.
Yeah.
I'm just super cautious. That's all.
Yeah, and that sounds fair. I mean, it's a private event, and yeah. I wish I could be a fly on the wall.
So you'd be proud, because when I came down, first off, Brendan asked me last year at the event. I hadn't met him before the event last year, in face to face, and I said I had a new book coming out, and he said, I want to help you promote the book. Like, let's powwow together to promote the book. And I followed up a whole bunch of times, and he's just the worst on email, and I don't have a phone number. Right? Like, this is the conversation. So then months later, we finally get a conversation happening. And in my head coming down, I said, I want to get help with the book, but I also want to get help with the speaking and getting on more stages. And he's done it. Like, apart from Tony Robbins, he's probably the biggest with the events that he's putting on.
Yep.
Frequency, size, all of it. So, like, this is my chance. And so when I asked him backstage about the speaking, in my head was also, he's busy. This is his event. He's got all this stuff going on, to carve out a 7-minute conversation with me. I don't want to burden him, but it's like, no, this is what I'm here to do. I want to, so I was trying to find the right moment. So I was even more stressed and anxiety, like, the whole day, like, trying to find my moment where he's not too busy and not talking to somebody else. Right. And then I asked him, and that's what led to the conversation to invite me to this thing. Right.
Right.
Otherwise I wouldn't have been invited. I would have just gone home. So anyway, leaning in on more of those. Yeah. You want something, you're nervous, you're afraid, you go ask, and you at least try.
Yeah. That's that thing. If something's important enough, you will override the fear or the anxiety. If it's important enough to you, you know,
There's so
you'll
much
do
fear
those
and
things.
anxiety. This is great. I need to, yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is, we've hit on something. This is Dr. Test Crap Challenge. This is it. This is it.
Oh dear.
I feel like this
It
is
is,
this was the intention of it, to make it human and normal. I just
This
couldn't.
is absolutely.
Yeah, I just didn't hear it properly back in New York, and I was trying, but
No,
it
you
felt
didn't.
forced. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you didn't hear it properly, and but that's okay. You got there in the end. This
We're
is
here.
good.
This is the Dr.
We're
Test
here.
Crap Challenge.
Yeah, but don't call it that anymore.
That's such a great name.
Don't call it that anymore. All right. So I guess tomorrow
This might
morning.
be what you're known for. Like, of all this, I could start sharing your story on stage. I got this idea.
Sure.
Take the Dr. Test Crap Challenge. Let's make it
Sure.
trend in Australia. By the
Yeah,
way, how
sure.
is everything in Australia with all the crazy?
Yeah, it's been really crazy. It worries me because the news media has settled down, which always happens. You know, they've found other things to talk about in the media, but places are still on fire.
And you haven't even hit like the worst of the dry season yet, right? It's still
No,
coming.
February. Yeah. So, you know, I have a coaching client whose town was almost wiped out.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's big and it's real, and we're seeing fire fronts that are merging, so creating like super fires, and just decimating everything in their paths. You know, nothing's left. And I guess the good part is that when the fire then comes back, it's got nothing to burn. So the town that she's in, for example, there's a section of that town that's now safe because there's nothing left for there's no more fuel for that area where she is. But it's still huge, and you know, we've had massive fundraising efforts. And you know, people will forget. So the mission for me, actually, one of the things I'm wanting to do, and I haven't really talked about this publicly, so you're kind of getting a little insight. One of the things I'm wanting to do is find a way to support business owners in these regions to get creative in how they, you know, revive and refresh their business presence once things have settled down. Everyone's still in emergency management mode, so now's not the time for that. As a psychologist, you know, a lot of my colleagues are feeling intensely frustrated. They want to do something to help. And I keep saying to them, people are in emergency management mode. It hasn't even hit them yet what the ongoing impact of this is going to be. You know, kids with nightmares, all that sort of stuff. But I think the simple thing that people can do is donate money to the causes like the rural fire services and the wildlife rehabilitation services and things like that, and then down the track actually support the communities themselves by, you know, going and visiting and spending money in those towns and with those businesses. So I'm sort of hatching a little bit of a plan to support business owners, but I don't know yet what that's going to look like.
But you can even start just by telling stories, you know, like
that's right. So
story of other entrepreneurs and what they're doing. Even today, I saw a picture. I saw a video. Did you see the koala who went up to the biker?
Yeah.
Who was drinking water? Did you see that one?
Yeah.
Like the comment. I mean, we know nothing about koalas here in Canada. Like a koala would never go up to a human, but he was so like dehydrated, needed water, that then came kind of begging.
There are some amazing stories like that. You know, koalas and other wildlife actually approaching for help, which is just so bizarre. Wombats, which are actually my favorite Australian native animal, there've been some evidence that wombats have been allowing other animals into their burrows. Just crazy stories of animals doing bizarre things because it's I don't know. How many of those stories are actually factual? I don't know. There is also a lot of information floating around the internet that is old footage and old stories and Photoshop stuff. So people do need to be careful. And sadly, there are also scammers. There are scammers out there, you know, taking money, pretending to be raising funds. So if people are wanting to donate, they do need to be careful, and they do need to look wisely at what they're donating to.
But that could be a cool angle of showcasing entrepreneurs who's either been hurt by the fire or who are trying to rebuild something, or giving them coaching or something to shine a light. Because it's those stories are the things that generate the attention more than just, you know what I mean? You see on the news a giant fire. Like, what does that even mean? You can't even.
Oh, you can't even you can't comprehend it. You can't conceptualize it. It's way beyond. I mean, there was a point in time there with the fires that, you know, a large swathe of the east coast of Australia was on fire. You know, I mean, it wasn't as dramatic as some of the images that were floating around the internet were indicating. You know, like, it wasn't the whole of Australia on fire, but it was massive, and it's, you know, it's still burning. People are still at risk. People are still homeless. People are still affected. So, going forward, I mean, my husband's work. He's working on a project that has a footprint in Tasmania and a footprint here in Victoria, including Gippsland, the Gippsland region. So his project's been put on hold, but down the track, there's a possibility that he will be travelling regularly to the Gippsland region. So I'm really hoping that comes to fruition, because of course then it gives me another reason to get out there and go and talk to people and share stories and help people improve the public awareness.
I thought you were in
of
Melbourne.
What their business is. I am in Melbourne.
Oh, Victoria is Melbourne?
So Victoria is the state. Melbourne is the capital of the state.
Got it. Okay. See, I know nothing. That's just great, because I suck at geography in general. I just don't care. But it's great to come to America and not know geography, because I'm Canadian. I don't need to know the American geography. We don't learn this in school. Like, is Puerto Rico a country? Is it a territory? Yeah, they don't even know. Anyway.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so it's, you know, I think it's like most things, you know, most big things, they're news stories, and then the news media attention gets diverted onto something else. And it's up to people at ground level to do what they can. And I spend a lot of time racking my brains, what can I do that's helpful? So I guess, you know, if business coaching is my thing, well, then I can offer some business coaching to people who are affected and help them in whatever way I can. But I need to figure out how I can do that in a way that's supportive and sustainable, both for them and for me. Because we can't all rush in and rescue everybody at the same time. Otherwise we all burn out, and that doesn't help anybody. So I'm trying to hatch something helpful and useful. See what comes.
I think there's definitely a model for you to.
Absolutely, there is. From free, you know, Facebook groups, all sorts of things. There's all sorts of ways that I can bring people together and unite them and help coach them to put their presence out there and all of that sort of stuff. There are a couple of small little groups, little pockets that have been, little hashtags have been created around, you know, buying from these places in affected communities. But there's a lot more that could be done to support those businesses in those areas.
I think both of them. I think one, like the negative, fixing the negative, but then also promoting the positive. So like the positive side is showcasing these businesses that are using hashtag whatever, and Tess goes to one of the businesses. Yeah, for sure. That's been impacted, and you have a coffee there or whatever, and you talk to the
absolutely.
Or the negative side is you actually coach people, like you take 10 people who've been suffered, who've had an impact.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and that's what I'm. That's right. So that's the sort of thing I'm thinking. Both of those. I am thinking both of those things. So we'll see what comes.
Tess, just start. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I said, everyone's in emergency mode still.
They still need help. They need help in emergency mode. Psychologists are in high demand in emergency mode. You're not going to do long-term planning with them, but even just to a listening ear, like that's crazy valuable.
Yeah. So we'll see. So at the moment, you know, supporting people who are supporting, helping the helpers is some of the stuff that I'm doing at the moment. And then once fires are out and people can actually gather their, get their wits about them, see what's left, see where they need to go next. That's where I think I'll be able to be most helpful.
Let's go.
Daily
Live stream with Tess shining a light on the
Yeah.
Australian
Yeah.
heroes. The Australian
Yeah.
heroes daily live stream.
Yeah.
What's another word for heroes?
Yeah.
What's an A word for heroes? Australian,
It's an
A word for heroes.
A word for heroes.
Heroes.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to.
Thesaurus. There's got to be something. It's got to be an A word.
Nothing's coming to me. I can't think of one. An A word for heroes.
Oh, it's giving me like
No.
hero sandwich. No, I don't want a hero sandwich. Heroes.
No, I really don't want to hear it.
I think like Avengers. Champion.
Yeah, I was thinking like Avengers too.
Adventurers or Ace?
Oh,
Australian Aces. Huh?
maybe.
The Australian Aces. Daily live stream.
I'm already doing a daily live stream, and I need to connect. I think one of the big things is not knowing what you don't know in terms of, there's a lot of research involved in terms of which towns are affected and what businesses are in those towns and all of that sort of stuff. The other is just, putting some marketing out there. And one of the strategies I want to do next is that, putting some marketing out there to those communities around here is something that I can offer, but there is that fine line too around looking like you're trying to generate business, which of course is not something I'm trying to do. So I do need to put some thought into this so that it is something that is actually helpful and actually
needed. Such garbage. This has now become like the test to pat the 10 million.
Oh my God. You're coaching me now?
Tess, this is all garbage.
Oh my God. How is it garbage when these...
You can show up and just give them value. You just being you is already value. You're worried about the perfect positioning and not being seen as a charlatan.
No.
Oh my God.
I'm talking about towns that are still under threat of actual fire.
Whatever, any of it. I'm on your Instagram. You posted zero about any of this stuff. You posted other people's opinions just don't seem to touch me anymore. Great. Shine a light on the Australian Aces. You're trying to have too perfect a plan. You just need to go and do something.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like a challenge. You're funny.
I know you can because I believe in you. Now you just need to believe in yourself. There you go. Yeah.
So that's all on my profile. That's the stuff on my profile. That's the stuff on my, not my profile, my Instagram page.
I know, on my Instagram page. Talk about it. Shine a light.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't be perfect. Some people will see you as a charlatan anyway. Don't worry about it. Other people's opinions don't seem to touch you anymore anyway, so it doesn't matter.
No, that doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me in the littlest bit.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's not about opinions at all. It's, I think, yeah.
No, there's no good reason. There's no good reason why you can't help right now.
I'm rolling my eyes. I'm rolling my eyes so hard right now.
Why? I'm looking at your Instagram page. What's the good reason why you can't help? Like, people in crisis. You're the world's greatest psychologist.
I am not. Stop that. Not. No, I think. Okay, so I am actually. Oh God.
There's no good reason.
If a town's on fire, if a town's on fire and they're, like some of the businesses where I have seen news media talking to some business owners in affected areas, they're talking about things like, their staff can't get to work. So, like a coffee shop, I saw an interview with a coffee shop owner and she was saying, her staff couldn't get to work. And so she was having to do all the things all the days and try to generate, but of course there's only one of her, so she can't make all the coffees. So her revenue's like plummeting because people can't physically get to, like her staff couldn't physically get to. This is right in the middle of, the height of all of the fires. I sort of saw, towns being cut off. You
can help her.
From. Oh yeah, for sure. And things like that, like really practical, real world stuff. So yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. So what I would love to see is, an avenue for these businesses to be visible.
So make the
Okay.
avenue. Australian Aces
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Tess Crawley.
Okay.
There's no good reason. It's taken too long.
No.
There's no good reason. Today you start the show.
And the funniest thing is, by the time this goes to air, it'll be probably what, a month, 3 weeks, who knows, down the track.
I don't know. It's got to be edited, all this stuff. But it'll still
Yeah,
be during fire
right.
season. Fires aren't going to go away. It's only we're recording this
no.
February 5th. Like, fire season is just getting started.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. There's no good reason, Tess. There's no good reason. I'm waiting for a good reason.
All right.
I'm
Okay.
excited.
I'm not calling it Australian Aces, though.
Great. Call it something else. I don't care. Just put something up. I like Australian Aces. Australian Heroes works too.
do.
Heroes works.
No, there's this whole thing about Aussie battlers. And it's a bit of a cliche. And I try really, really hard to avoid those Australian cliches because there's too many of them. So, this is about real people, not cliches. So I need to find something that's not already got a bit of a cliche stamp on it.
Maybe,
We'll
but
find something.
pop culture can also help, right? Like cliches also can be great. I don't know what a battler is, but whatever. The name doesn't matter. Call it Australia Today. Like it have the worst name, Australian Sock Face. It doesn't matter.
Sock face.
Like,
okay.
Just make it.
Okay. Australian sock face. Hashtag Australian sock face.
Australia Fire Stories. It could be the most just like practical
Yeah.
thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have a gift. You're the world's greatest psychologist. People are suffering. And you can shine a spotlight.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's no good reason.
What I actually have been focusing on is rebranding one of my coaching programs, which is a 30-day program called Fire Starters.
Wow, nice. Fire Starters.
And it's such a great name, and I've had to totally rebrand it. And the story behind the name is convict ancestors of mine who are arsonists. That's why they were sent to Australia. Like, I just cannot market that program with that backstory in the current bushfire climate. Like, it's just totally insensitive. So I've rebranded that and calling that emergent, which is, the word that describes the trees that are strong enough, tall enough to rise above the mists of the rainforest and spread their seeds far and wide and So, I've actually had my head full of how do I, move forward with what I do in this climate without being insensitive. So that's probably where I've been a little bit stuck too in this idea, is about, being stuck in that idea of if I'm being sensitive to the wording and the phrasing and all of that sort of stuff. I think you do tend to overthink things when there is a real crisis. Like, we're talking about a real crisis. You do want to be sensitive, and that's the good reason. Is you do want to
overthink things regardless of a crisis.
Oh, absolutely. Usually I don't. I'm pretty good at not, but yes, people do. People do.
Whatever. There's no good reason.
Humans do.
Australian Aces, or find a better name and create. People need the world's greatest psychologist in their corner. Sharing.
I'm gonna start fining you. I'm gonna start fining you $1,000 every time you call me Australia's greatest psychologist, because
I didn't call you. I never called you Australia's greatest. I said the world.
Because I'm going to need that money. I'm going to have to fine you that money, because I'm going to need that to pay the fine that I get if I let you get away with the same stuff.
Point of order, okay? Worlds. And you have the ability to shine a spotlight. So instead of just helping one person.
I do have the ability to shine a spotlight on people. And I think that's really important for businesses trying to recover, when the media attention has gone and they're left. Yeah. And they're struggling to get access to so much money's been raised, and it's really hard for them to get access to that sometimes.
What is it? What's the name of your program?
Emergent.
Emergent. Go be emergent.
Yeah.
Ambient. Whatever. Emergent.
Yeah, go and do that.
You should go be like, what's the thing? The phoenix. You rise from the ashes. Australian phoenixes. Phoenixi? What's the plural phoenix? Should look that up.
It's already wrong. That's just too wrong.
Phoenix Eye. Anyway, or like the resiliency. It's the Boston Strong, right? I don't know if that hit all the way to Australia, but when Boston, I forget what happened. They had a bomber that interrupted the Boston Marathon is this giant.
Oh yeah.
Okay, somebody they did a suicide bomber during the Boston Marathon and killed like a bunch of people. Yeah. And so Boston Strong became the thing that was trending for a long time in Boston. But that concept, happened, but we're stronger than it, right? So the resiliency, the Australian resiliency, right? The Australian, whatever that.
Yeah. I think it's something to do with, the bush and bush businesses and that kind of feel is where I'm kind of heading for it. Businesses in the bush.
The bounce back.
The bounce back.
Yeah, it's like a kangaroo. You can bounce back. Overcome, recover, overcome. Australian. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Rise above. Yeah. Anyway, cool. Okay, so we both have homework. I have to go crush my event.
You crush your event.
Report
Let
back.
me know how it goes.
Yeah.
Just privately, let me know. Just sneak me a private message.
Wow. All right. Wow. Okay. And
sneak me a little private message.
You've got to do your homework. Start shining a light as the world's greatest psychologist.
Stop that.
On Australian businesses.
Stop it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the mission.
All right.
All right. Good luck tomorrow.
It's the mission. Jesus, is that your mission?
No, that's not my overarching mission. It's a mission. It's the mission that I'm talking about right this very second.
Great.
Shining a light on Australian business.
We got to live the mission.
Yeah. What was that?
You can't say it's the mission and then not have done a single thing for the mission.
I'm sorry.
We went there.
Oh, man.
You're just in talk mode. We got to do something.
Okay, then. Bossy boots. Go blow your raspberries at someone else. Enjoy your dinner.
I got to go research now. Go have Japanese. I don't think you go to Puerto Rico to have Japanese food again. We already did.
You probably don't.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah.
But right. it is a good app. I can blame you. Okay. Thank you, Tess. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
If you want to see the last time Doctor and I Tess connected, it was fun. She pushed me in. You're going to love it. Check the video right there next to me. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there. That's how the whole world lives for the most part. So we're trying to change it. Problems are going to happen for sure. It's going to be chaos.
This is true.